Hello, fellow YouTubers. Santi Reviews here, and I just got back from the theater, and I saw The House with Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler. And just to start off, this movie was actually really hilarious. It's a rated R movie, so there's a lot of f bombs and a lot of blood. But all in all, I really liked it. So before I get started, I'm gonna roll it. All right, now you know spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything about this movie, but I think you do, I think you really want to know everything about this movie, stop the video now, go watch it, then come back. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, like I said, this movie stars Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler as Scott and Kate. And they're a married couple that has a daughter named Alex. And she is an honor student and she just graduated high school. And they start off where she's at a college campus tour, and she really likes this college, and they're preparing her. They like have empty nest syndrome. Alex, who is a straight A student and graduated, and wants to go to like an exclusive college, which is really expensive. So they applied for her to get in, and she got in. And then she applied for the scholarship that the town was offering, and she got it. But a councilman named Bob, Nick Kroll's character, wants to set up to open a brand new community pool with like 5 pools and a food court and everything. So they set it up, but they have to take money out of that college fund to open the pool. And they all vote to stop the college fund. So that leaves Scott and Kate in a predicament where they want to send their daughter to college, but they don't have any money. So it shows them, trying to ask for, like, Scott asking for a raise and not getting it, and Kate trying to get a job and she's not getting it. So they throw a graduation party, and that's where Frank comes into the picture, where you see him. He's getting a divorce, and he's kind of a gambler and an alcoholic. And so, like I said, he's getting a divorce. So him and his wife are fighting throughout the whole movie. And Scott and Kate planned a trip with Frank to go to Vegas, and they're trying to get out of it, but they go anyway. So they get there, and Frank's on a hot streak. He's rolling fours on the craps table, and they're betting on it, and they're about to make all the money, and then Scott utters out, "Don't roll a 7," and it's just slow mo. Everybody panning to everybody, like cussing him out, and telling him off because it is, they jinxed it. He jinxed it. So he rolled a 7, and everybody lost their money. And like when they're in Vegas, everybody's just telling him off. So they get back from Vegas, and they're sweating bullets on what to do about their daughter. And that's when Frank comes up with a brilliant idea to open a casino in Frank's house because his wife had left and took everything. And so the house was empty, and they find out that Frank's house is being foreclosed on. So they were like, all right, fine, we'll do it. We'll go ahead and get it going. So Frank sets up everything, and it's you could tell it's a house made into a casino because they had Christmas lights, regular tables, and they invited a couple of people. And the way they set it up was everybody had to go to the store that was like right down the street to park there. They had to buy something and leave their car there and walk to Frank's house. And once they got there, everybody was gambling and having a good old time. And the first night they're down 3,500. So Scott and Kate are like, well, what's going on? How come, we're losing money? So Frank's like, don't worry about it. We could have lost a lot more money. And then the next day, that's when more people are coming, and a dispute breaks out, and 2 guys want to fight. And that's when Frank has a brilliant idea. All right, well, we can have a fight, but, the house takes all the bets. So the first guy fight, it ends pretty quick. with the one knockout punch. Then two women want to get into it and fight, and that fight lasted about a good 5 minutes, and that one was brutal. And it ended with a double knockout, but the house didn't have anybody bet on a double knockout, so the house got to keep all the money. And then that's when Frank shows them the five safes where he measured out that $100,000 can fit in each safe, and that's their limit. Once they hit 500,000, they split it and they walk away. Well, every time they make money, Frank puts it back into the casino with new tables, new signage. It makes it look like an actual casino, and it just goes on from there. And they catch a cheater and they take him to the garage, and that's when all three of them are, tie him down, put his arm in a vice, and they're just talking down to him. And that's when Scott picks up the axe and is like, "Well, I'm gonna just cut your hand off." And then they just start going back and forth between all three of them, and it's an accident where he cuts off his middle finger, and blood just gushes everywhere, and Scott is freaking out, and he just walks out of the garage full of blood with an axe, and that's when the whole town is just like freaked out, because Frank, you know, unbeknownst to Scott and Kate, was lending money to, the high rollers, and they haven't been paying back. But till that incident, that's when, they started paying everything back, and they were really scared of Scott. And that's when they get the bright idea to go do collections, and that's where they go run around in tracksuits, and Scott just busts heads all over the town. Everybody that owes him money, he goes there and he just beats them up until he gets their money. And after that hilarity, it goes back to the city council meeting where nobody shows up, and Bob, who's running it, is just wondering where everybody is, and one of the ladies that got in the fight is there, and she's wearing glasses, and Bob tells her to take off the glasses, and you see her face is all beat up, and and uh, and so Bob's wondering what's going on in the town, and Bob and one of his constituents uh, are having an affair, and he's using town money, town resources to go on trips and buy her things. And so she's freaking out, but he's like, no, it's fine. So you find out that it's like $300,000 that he spent from the town. And he gets Officer Chandler, to go and, investigate what's going on. And he finds the casino, and that's when they extort, Scott, Kate, and Frank, and take all the money. They take all of it, and he says that they won't press charges, but he keeps the money. He gets to keep the money. And, Officer Chandler grows a conscience and says that, you know what, that money is for her because Alex needs to go to school. But before all that happens, that's when Jeremy Renner's character, which is named Tommy, and he's supposed to be like this big mob boss, comes in and wants money. He wants their money, but Bob was already there and he cleaned him out. And so they try and take Scott's daughter, Alex, and they get past him, and Scott picks up an axe and handcuffed himself to Alex, and Scott picks up the axe and comes down. I think it focused on the chain of the handcuffs, but he chops off his arm, and he's just freaking out. He's like, "Oh God, oh God!" And they're just lighting it, like they accidentally lit him on fire, and then they try and put him out with alcohol. Then they try to put him out with with polyester, which doesn't work. And then that's when Frank throws him on the ground and rolls him up in a carpet. But then it, lights up, and the whole house catches on fire and burns down. And that's when you see Frank's wife come back into the picture and say, "Don't worry about the house. It's insured, and we have all of our stuff." So, so Frank's like, "Oh, you want to commit insurance fraud?" And she's like, "Yeah." And that's where it ends off with Frank and his wife. And like I said, back to Officer Chandler, he goes to Scott and Kate's house and tells them that he wants to double cross Bob so that, you know, Alex can go to college. And as this is going on, they made like a little video of them talking about Bob and how small he is and how insignificant he is, and that they open another casino. So Bob's like, "All right, come on, Chandler, let's go ahead and take these guys out." And as soon as they leave, that's when Scott, Kate, and Alex come in to Bob's office, and Scott is not a really bright guy with numbers, and he's freaking out throughout the whole movie about numbers. He's like really bad with numbers. And Alex tells him that, don't worry, Dad, I love you. And he remembers the combination. They open it, and it's like a big duffel bag full of money. And they're trying to get out, and Bob's girlfriend, or the constituent he's having an affair with, is there and calls Bob and tells him that, somebody's in his office. And that's when Bob and Officer Chandler come back. Bob handcuffs himself to the bag of money, and then Scott sees fireman's axe that's there. He picks it up, and it's the same shot of of the chain, and then he comes down, and then Bob's face looks like he got hurt, but then it's just he does hit the chain this time, and Bob's like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna cut your arm off." He's like, "Yeah, I thought so too." And Officer Chandler comes back in, and you know, Bob tells him to arrest him, and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna arrest him." And then that's when Bob admits to everything about him embezzling money, and that he wants to marry his the girl he's having an affair with. And and Scott says, all these cameras are on, and that's when they both leave. And then it cuts to the end where Alex goes to college, and all works out for them. And like I said, this movie is hilarious. I'm just giving you the broad strokes, of what this movie's all about, because like I said, I went and I was laughing about 90% of the time with this movie. And I'm probably gonna go see it again on Tuesday, or some other day. But it is hilarious. If you like R-rated comedies, if you like Will Ferrell, if you like Amy Poehler, go see this movie. I really recommend to go see this movie. You won't be disappointed. So that's it for this review. The Santi Reviews signing off. See y'all.